but the manifestation of the movement of Imam Hussein among the Mu'mineen, how he should do, and how we need to bring it not just within the historical concept, but to our lives. We say, but in practice sometimes we fail that. And one of the examples which I've seen in my lifetime that has been reflecting the movement of Husseini has been the movement of Islamic movement in Nigeria. I have known, has had the pleasure of knowing Sheikh Zakzaky from the time that we were young. We both were, he's younger than me, but I've known him from the time he was a university student. And after the revolution in Iran, he was more revolutionary than many of the brothers in Iran. And we used to see each other. He used to travel to UK to give talks. And he started the movement almost single-handedly. And in the last count, just before the attack in December last year, their numbers were 15 million. 15 million. You know, when they have a gathering, because they can't go to Karbala on the 40th of Chedlo, so they gather all in Zaire. From all over Nigeria, they walk all the way there. And their numbers, when they gather, is around 5 million. And they walk days, weeks, months, all the way to go there. And the estimate of their number is based on that, because really all cannot go. And we estimate around a third of them could make it. So the movement has got 15 million. And it's got 5 million supporters which are outside the movement but supporting it. And the reason that has happened, it goes back to the personality of Sheikh Zakzaky. You know, most of us, unfortunately, when it comes to testing our iman, we fell short. And I'll give you an example. Most of us, when we have a difficulty, and life is like that, we go through difficulties in life. And when we go through some difficulty, what we do, we go see a lawyer, or we go see a doctor, we go, you know, depending what the difficulty is, we go see the bank manager, or we go everywhere first. And then when we go home at night, before going to bed, at best, we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we do a dua as well, on top of all the other things that we have done. Those who have got yaqeen, total sort of belief in the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will go first and last to Allah. And that's the difference between some of us and those who are got that sort of belief. And Sheikh Zakzaky is one of those. I could testify that. All the time I've known him, from his youth until, you know, now, he's been in and out of prison. He actually has a lot of children, and almost every year he has a child. And the gaps are the gaps that he's in prison, you know, when you look at the children. And as you know, a year and a half ago on the Al-Quds Day, after the month of Ramadan, the army attacked, killed around 33 of the Mu'mineen, including 3 of his children, 3 of his sons. One of them was killed right there and there. 2 of them were tortured in the army barracks. I went there, investigated the case. And when I talked to him and his wife, there wasn't a single drop of sort of water from the eye. There was a single drop of crying. And what his wife said is, when they brought these children, and these children, if you know them, they were really special. When they brought their bodies, people were crying. So she got rid of everybody from the room and told them to go. If they want to cry, leave the room. And she gave ghusl to those children. The next day, Sheikh himself buried them. And when I was there every night, the mother used to go, or every afternoon used to go from the afternoon until the Maghrib and sit down and pray Quran by their graves. And she explained to me that two of them were just about to get married, and both, just before that day of Al-Quds Day, they actually went to their fiancés and they said to their fiancés that we will leave you in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have actually had inclination that they are going to become shaheed. And not only them, I was interviewing one mother who lost a daughter, a 19-year-old daughter. And the father was injured in hospital. I visited. And she was telling me that on the day of Al-Quds, the daughter went and put on her Eid clothes. And she started asking, why are you putting your Eid clothes? You know, Eid is in a few days' time. And she replied, if I don't wear it today, I will never have a chance of wearing it. And the people who stood up then and indeed a year ago, and the Sheikh himself, were really exemplary. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not accept shaheeds just because people want to. They actually have to be in a certain class of iman before they are accepted this honor. And 3 more of his son got shaheed. One of them was already injured in the last incident, and his leg was broken, shattered. And he himself was shot 4 times, his wife was shot 4 times. He was beaten up so badly that he explained that his eye was popped out and he actually had to put it back in. He lost one eye, the other eye he only got at best 20% sight. His wife has still got bullets in her body 9 months after this incident. 1,000 people have perished. These 1,000 people did not perish just because they were running away and being shot. These 1,000 people, it took 28 hours. They were trying to kill Sheikh. People were coming and standing in front of him to be shot to protect him. You know, I sort of think that in Karbala we had 72 who stood up by Imam Hussein. Here we had 1,000 people. And people were asking him after Al-Quds massacre, which he lost 3 sons, that aren't you going to take arms? And he said, no. Truth is the most powerful weapon in the world, and we are going to stand by the truth, and we are not going to attack anyone. And even now, his followers are doing demonstrations day after day, and but they're not resulting into violence, and he's not getting medical attention. We've been pushing, and tomorrow we've got another session at the UN while trying to expose the injustice. We took the matter to international court, and by miracle, really, when we went to see them, they said that despite the fact that when we did it, I didn't think anything is going to come out of it. But I just felt we have to do whatever we can. But when we went to see them, they told us that they actually have started preliminary investigation, and they have informed Nigerian government that they're investigating them. And that actually put a huge pressure on them. I'm going to go very quick. We have got evidence of Saudi Arabia embassies being involved in encouraging this action. We've got from WikiLeaks document to prove that. And I just want to finish on one note. I remember on one occasion when Sheikh Zakzaky came to UK, and I took him to Stanmore, one of the Shia centers in London, and they asked him to give few words. And I'm going to give you a very gist of what he said. He went through the prophets one by one and explained that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sunnah is that when the deen of Allah is taken off this track and derailed, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings prophet to put it back on his track. And then he explained how from, all the prophets, which way, Pharaoh was derailed because of the Musa alayhi salam came because it was derailed by Pharaoh, and how Isa alayhi salam came because the sort of the misguided Jewish community at that time derailed the deen. So it was ulama derailing it. And he went on and on explaining. And then he said what was significant about Imam Hussein was it's actually all those, So it was the Zalim rulers, it was the clergy of the time and everything else. They were all those elements derailing the deen. And what is significant is to understand how the Imam Hussein alayhi salam put this back on his track. And the way he did it was sacrificing his neck. Actually saying, he didn't come and say, I'm going to start a school and teach everybody pure Islam, because there's nobody around other than me to teach people. He didn't sort of started sort of a university or start sitting down and having discussions. He actually said, I'm going to sacrifice myself for the truth and justice. And that's how it's done it. And then he went around and there were people sitting, including ulama. And he said, the lesson of Karbala for us is this: how many of you are willing to give your neck for sake of your deen, to bring the deen back on its right track, to make sure you won't go off his track? And he said, if you're not, including those ulama sitting here, then what you're really saying is your neck is more valuable than the neck of Imam Hussein. And that is the principle he was moving forward. I give you one other example and I finish it, is when I went there, every night there were people, hundreds and hundreds, 200, 300 people were coming to give condolences because of his 3 children. And among them there was politicians, there were Salafis, with their trousers halfway up. There were all sorts of people. And I was really shocked to see 2 Christian ladies have come to give condolences. Now the relationship between Christians and Muslims in Nigeria is probably worse than anywhere else between Muslims and Christians. And I was shocked, so I went to them, and I got it on a camera because I was recording it, I was filming it. And I asked them, I said, I'm really surprised you come here because I know there is this conflict. And she said to me, she said, look, anytime there is a conflict like that, because we're in the area where the Islamic movement is established, Muallim Zakzaky, Sheikh Zakzaky, sends people to stand and guard our house 24 hours so nobody will harm us. Now this is the Islam Muhammadi. This is the sort of Islam that the Prophet ﷺ was practicing. And this is why that Sheikh Zakzaky managed to bring 15 million people on that way. And this is actually a lesson for us, how we could propagate Islam and how to move forward. And this is really, it's very important to actually understand that that is the way of the A'immah. The A'immah were all resisting the Taghut of their time. And that's why every single one of them became Shaheed and poisoned, with the exception of Imam Zaman. And this is the lesson of actually our time. Is not, many of us, we get diverted. We think to serve Islam, we need to go and become a minister or go and see a minister or an MP and this and that, and then, get ourselves into the system. But the reality is that the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the prophets all the way to our A'immah, is actually exact opposite that. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was a prince. He came out of the house to challenge the Pharaoh. He didn't stay in. If we are in that position, we want to go in and become a prince so we could change the things from within, and that doesn't work. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq, inshallah, to sort of stand up in the way of pure Islam Muhammadi, the way that A'immah alayhi salam have done, the way that of the prophets and the sunnah of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and give us the strength of actually standing up for haqq and truth and justice, because that is the most powerful tool that we have, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.